At the end of the day, it's about shifting behavior. You're gonna have a good, healthy meal one day, and then you're gonna slip right back into it because your body and the spirit of the universe knows that you're a fraud. We have the ability to do neurological surgery on ourselves. If you have gotten results, but it feels like you're working so hard, that action is not automatic yet. You need to continue to rewire. So, what are the fundamentals of health? We used to do this show called The Good Life, and the fundamentals of what makes somebody good with money is the same fundamentals of what makes them good at anything, such as health. And that's the basis of the show.
Oh, you can have that and you don't have to feel bad about it. Word?
It really boils down to human behavior. That's why you can have people who will win the lottery and then the next day they're dead broke because they never changed their behavior. They never shifted their identity. That's exactly the same thing with health. You see people chasing trends or jump from one trend to licking a frog to the next trend to squashing a cockroach to the next trend to dancing like a butterfly at 4 p.m. to make sure that their cortisone is straight. Barbecuing kangaroo meat or eating toasted rotisserie Sasquatch. Whatever it is, people will jump from the next thing to the next. By the end of the day, what really makes the difference is what are your thoughts that lead to your self-image, what you believe about yourself and about the world, how it's true, and how that leads to your automatic actions that you take on a day-to-day basis. Somebody that has a rich mindset, sure, is not going to necessarily deprive themselves, but they will be very cautious about tracking their expenses. They will be cautious about making sure that they have funds to cover doodads or things that pop up. They will engage in certain behaviors as a result of what they believe to be true about themselves in this world. It's the same thing when it comes to health. Somebody who sees themselves as like, I'm a healthy person, will engage in certain behaviors. Drink water, because they know they feel better when they drink water, and that's what I do because I'm a healthy person. They'll eat in moderation. They will not eat too many fries. They'll just not eat things that make them feel like crap. But somebody who hasn't made that identity shift will feel that on a cellular level. It's not just surface level. So even on a cellular level, the body craves more of the not so great stuff that we're putting in over time because you literally train yourself at a cellular level to crave those things. All right. So at the end of the day, there is absolute alignment between finance and health, and we just get confused with the term. For example, yesterday I had folks buy the cribbo for our game night, and we had some John and Vinny's. For those of you who are not familiar with LA, that is some pizza. Now, I often have people saying, oh my gosh, if I start doing all this stuff, can I ever have pizza again? That is the question of somebody who has not shifted their identity. They're immediately thrust into a fear mindset. I may never, ever enjoy life ever again. But that's not true. And then they'll ask, well, do you eat pizza? Me eating pizza at the stage where I am and you eating pizza at the stage where you are in terms of shifting your identity as being a healthy person are two completely different things. And I don't say that to be arrogant or anything of that nature. I'm just saying when you shift your identity, it doesn't really matter what you eat because you will not allow yourself to get to a point where it becomes overconsumption or where it becomes to deteriorate at your health. Because guess what? Today, I'm not gonna eat pizza. And guess what? I probably won't eat pizza for a while. But did I enjoy John and Vinny's yesterday? You damn right I did. I enjoyed every single one of my 8 slices, right? Is that gonna set me back? Not even a bit. I got up this morning, I went through my routine, got myself to a place where I was feeling great. I'm out here recording, I'm ready to go. I'm gonna have a great meal later on and I'm going to keep it moving because it's not that big of a deal. It's not so much the what, it is the how. And the how comes from shifting your identity. It comes from shifting your self-belief. What do you believe about yourself and what do you believe about the world? If you believe that, I'm just a fat piece of shit, that never does anything right. You're gonna have a good, healthy meal one day, and then you're gonna slip right back into it because at the cellular level, your body and the spirit and the universe knows that you're a fraud. You set it up so that you're a fraud. Now, what do I mean by that? You don't believe that in your head. You don't believe that at the cellular level. You don't believe that you are actually a healthy person. So if you don't have that belief, or you don't have that self-image of yourself, it doesn't matter what you eat. You could eat salads every day for 100 days, and guess what? On 105, 106 days, you're going to revert back to exactly who you believe you are, which is a fat piece of that can't do anything. So at its core, it's the same thing. It is why we see people that win the lottery, and then the next thing you know, they're broke because they don't believe they're rich. They, at the cellular level, believe they're a fraud. So it doesn't matter how much money you give them, they will always end up being broke. Why? Because that's who they believe to be at the end of the day. And that is the key. It is not about high levels of health strategy. It's not about, avoiding this and eating that. It's not about, oh man, I need to understand what investments to put in. No, 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 no. It is about shifting your identity at its core. And when you shift your identity at its core, you align yourself at a cellular level, you align your thoughts, you align them with the things around you, and you align it with the universe. And guess what? Is this not the law of attraction? Is this not the laws of the universe? Is this not what gets us where we want to be? If you believe you're a winner, I win. That's what I do. I'm a winner. At its core, whatever it is, I'm a winner. See, do winners go through adversity? You damn right they do. Winners go through adversity, but what is the difference between a winner that goes through an adversity and somebody who's a loser that goes through adversity? A winner realizes that this is just a temporary setback because at the end of the day, I'm a winner. I could go through adversity for 30 years, but 31 years, I'm a winner. I'm going to win. Whereas a loser could win for 30 years. 31 years, they will lose. And guess what? I'm just a loser. That's what happens. That 30 years was a fluke. Now, don't get it twisted here. We can reprogram what has been written. We can rewire our programming. 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 Why do I repeat? That's how we rewire our programming, through repetition. I did not become a healthy person coming out of the womb. The environment shaped me, right? But then once I became conscious, I have the option and the ability to rewire myself. As humans, we are the only organisms, creatures on earth that actually have the ability to rewire ourselves, meaning we have the ability to do neurological surgery on ourselves. We are the only ones, but most never actually take advantage of that. So what I do at its core is I don't give meal plans, I don't give workouts. I help you neurologically rewire. Because once you neurologically rewire yourself from I'm a loser, I'm a fat piece of shit, this is all I do, at the end of the day, I need this to make me feel this way, to rewiring that, now it doesn't matter the what. Now we only think about the how. We don't even think about it because it becomes our automatic action. Once we shift that identity, we shift that self-image, now it becomes that automatic action. Notice I'm saying automatic action. It means that I don't have to work so hard. If you have gotten results, but it feels like you're working so hard, that action is not automatic yet. You need to continue to rewire. So we go through that process of rewiring. And at first it feels really tough because you're overcoming years and years and years of wiring. That's why you need coaching. This is why doctors are not very successful at changing health. So they prescribe medication. Why? Because at the end of the day, if you ask any doctor, at the end of the day, it's about shifting behavior. And if you don't shift behavior, You may even get to a good point, but you'll be right back. And this is why doctors are not very successful. And doctors will tell you that they can't shift behavior in a 15-minute office visit. They can't shift behavior without, behavior is only shifted through coaching. That's why I believe in coaching. That's why I invest in coaching for myself. That's why I encourage everybody that actually wants real lasting results to invest in coaching. Because what is it? It means that you actually go through the process. You're allowed to fail, but see, it's a loop. You fail, you get help or correction or adjustment from coach, you implement, then you succeed, and that success gives you a boost of dopamine. And that dopamine is what encourages you to rewire. We continue to do the same things, eat the same foods, and do why? Because we get that dopamine release. We continue to do that over and over again. What are we doing? We're creating neurological attachments. We are linking those things. So when you just smell that food, pop, you're already there. We eat before we actually eat, just like Pablo's dogs. We start blah, 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 salivating. We start salivating, right? You have to go through the process of rewiring, just as Pablo did with the dogs, of connecting that bell to the food, to the salivation, right? Pop. What we do is we break those neurological links. So when you're driving down the street, you even smell it and you, I don't want that anymore. All right. Not that you'll never want it anymore, but here's the kicker. People fear getting to a point where they actually don't even want it anymore. They don't want to let that go, because if I don't want that anymore, how am I going to get that dopamine release? But what they don't realize is that dopamine is not tied to that stimulus. So when we get a different stimulus, a stimulus that doesn't cost you so much, to get and connect that stimulus to the dopamine release, now you can get the dopamine release by doing things that are actually helping your entire system, not costing you. This is what we do when it comes to drug addiction. It's very simple.
Absolutely.
Right. So this is exactly the same thing that we do, but we attach new stimuli to that dopamine release.
Absolutely.
And so now you seek that. But see, most people don't do it for long enough. Most never even start. But those that start don't go through the initial phases long enough to create that neurological rewiring. So yeah, I don't write meal plans, I don't write gym plans, I don't give workouts, I don't give tips, because that neurological rewiring is a very intricate process that has to be taking place in a very intimate relationship between a coach and a client.